I'm Grant Millen. I'm a cash crop specialist with New Holland. Today we're going to go over the New Holland P-Series air cart. This one in particular is a P4460. We're going to run through the features of the air cart plus the calibration steps in order to calibrate your drill properly. So we're going to start over here with some of the new updates to the model year 20 and newer carts. First update, right here, you see this ratchet hanging off of this bolt right here. Instead of having to go to the right-hand side to open up the door, so we now have a slide gate. So you can see this mechanism here. There's actually a gate inside there that's going to slide back and forth to open up the tank to get down into the meter runs. So we can see we're now closing it off, and we're now going to open it up. There's a decal here to show you which position it's in, open and closed. And then you put your pin in. Whenever you're in either one of the two positions, just put your pin in so that it doesn't leak backwards. I'm going to line that hole up, put the pin in. The ratchet does come with the drill too. It's a 14 mil socket. Outside of that, another change we made in 2020 was inside the auxiliary cart. If you take a look inside there, you can see sensors running along the bottom of the cart. And if you look even further in there, you can see a screw in there. So what we've done is we put a leveler inside the auxiliary tank so that when your product is overloaded on one side of the tank, the leveler automatically moves it side to side to level it out. And that screw inside there does move left and right. It's not just a one position screw. Another big change that we made on 2020 is we do offer scales with our cart now. This particular one doesn't have it. If it had scales, there would be a head right here to show you the readout of the scales. Plus up in here, there would be load cells. A lot of other things are pretty familiar here from what we offered before. Still got our calibration center here. We can turn on our lights. We've got our primer button, and then we've got our four carts. 4 tanks. And then we've got our 4 tanks. Now we're going to run through a calibration on the drill. We're going to calibrate the aux tank, which is this one here. The reason I want to calibrate or show you how to calibrate the aux tank is because we still need to use the bag to collect enough canola sample in order to get a proper weigh. With the other tanks or with other products, we can use a single run calibration and just put a 20-liter pail underneath there to catch your product. Of course, we want to have that pail probably 3/4 to 7/8 full so we get a good measurement and a good weight. So with canola, we still use the bag. First step we want to do is take the bottom door off. You want to grab on here, underneath here too. You can see there's a handle here. We're going to slide that down and off it's going to come. Push that out of the way. Grab the bag. Also, same handle right here. Get it up on top rail. Slide it in there and the bag is on. So now the other thing we have to do is put this lever in the proper position. We're going to drop our canola down the top run, and then our fertilizer on this drill will run through the bottom run. So we want to make sure that actually the lever's in the proper position right now. You can see from this decal here, had I had the lever in the top position right here, that's for clean out. So that's what I would use after we're emptying out product. The lever is now in the top run, so the product is going to run out the top run. To calibrate the bottom, or to have the product run out the bottom, I'm going to put the lever in the bottom run, and the product will run out the bottom. To calibrate it, I'm going to actually take the lever off. So I'm going to push it in. I'm going to get on this side. So I'm going to push it in, turn it, pull the lever out. We like to keep the lever right here while we're calibrating. So now there's no levers in here, so we know that's in calibration mode. A quick check to make sure you got your lever in the right position is to look whether it's here, top run, or whether it's here, bottom run. So when you take a quick visual as you're walking away from it, you know that if it's in this position or that position, then we're putting out the product in the right run. If it's still sitting here, then we know all we're doing is calibrating. When we go to calibrate, we got to go into the monitor, into the calibration wizard, and it's going to tell us step by step exactly what to do. So the wizard's asked us to turn on the auxiliary switch, turned on. And then now we're going to push the meter button or the prime button. And we're going to hold it down. You can hear the meters turning. And we're filling up that bag. We want to catch probably 3/4 of a bag so we get a good weigh. We do have to hold the button down. It's not a position switch. Okay, so now we've got a good amount of canola in there. So now we're going to remove the bag. And we don't want to spill any of the product that we've just put into it. And the reason we don't want to spill any of the product is because this is all the amount that got calibrated into the bag. Ideally, what we'd like to have is another pail to empty the product into. And then we're going to grab this scale here, which you can get a better view of the scale here. It is a digital scale. We're going to hang the scale on this prong right here, and then we'll hook the pail onto the scale and get a readout. So that readout is the weight that was calibrated into the bag during that cycle, and we go back to the monitor to input that weight. So once the rate is in there, then we can go back to the home screen, which you can see on the monitor right now, and that'll be the screen that we'll see while we're seeding. As we're seeding, the product will start to decrease in the tank, and then either through the bin level sensors or the cameras, you'll know when you're about to run out of product. So once you're done doing the calibration and putting the rate into the monitor, you want to turn the aux tank off. We're going to put the lid back on and pull the bag out of the way. One thing I forgot to mention to you beforehand is when you're weighing that pail, or if you wanted to weigh the bag, but recommend a pail of course, is you want to tear out that pail, or you want to get the weight of that pail before you weigh it with the product in. So we'll move the bag out of the way. We'll put the door back up. Slide up on the top rack, latch it down, the door's back on so we can continue seating. But the first thing we have to do before we continue seating is we have to put the lever back on to run number 1. So put the lever on here. Now I'm gonna switch sides. We're gonna push it in, turn it so that it opens up the door inside. And we're gonna have to wiggle it a little bit, not that much, until this little tab pops out. The other thing you'll notice is once that tab's popped out, I can't take this lever off, so it won't switch to any other position except running out of top run. So that's the basic calibration of the drill. You can do it by yourself by running back and forth. It is easier to have 2 people. Generally speaking, when you're calibrating your drill, you've got 2 people anyway. Okay, so now you've got the lever in the right position, everything's going out through the top run. The other thing you have to also make sure is that your air is flowing out the top run. So when it's in the up position, it's the top run. And when it's in the down position, it then would come out the bottom run. So this is balancing the air between the tanks so that the airflow comes out the bottom or the top. Sorry, the bottom. This is balancing the air out between the tanks so that the air comes out either the bottom or the top run. Again, we're running through the top run. So we'll put the airflow at the top run. As you can see, this one's also in the top run. This one's in the bottom run, and you can see the handles in the bottom run. Now, one thing to remember is that sometimes these handles get a little sticky or hard to turn. Don't push hard on the lever itself. Loosen this cap off because you'll get some dust in here, which will then, there's a ball valve in here, it'll prevent that ball valve from turning. So just loosen that cap off a little bit and then just kind of work your way out so that it gets that dust worked out, and then you can tighten it back up again. So when we're talking about airflow on the air cart, we've got the 2 fans. This obviously is the top run fan, and this is the bottom run fan. This bottom run fan is important to run at all times because it actually operates the alternator. The alternator then in turn charges the batteries, of course. The batteries are very vital to this machine as all the meter rollers run off battery. What we're going to do right now is we're going to show you how to change out a meter roll. Okay, so now we're going to show you how to pull out a meter to check it or replace a meter, however it may be. First thing, back to our socket ratchet. We're going to take this, it's in a closed position, or it's in the open position right now, and we want to move it to the closed position. So pull the pin out again. Close it off. The reason we want to close it off is because if we leave it open and we pull the roller out, all the product from the tank's just going to run out. So we close it off. Now I'm going to take the lever out of the top run and I'm going to put it into the clean out position so that the gate inside is closed off going to the roller. Nice and gentle, turn it, roll it. You heard that click. So now we're in the clean out position and I can then pull the tabs off. So loosen off the bottom tab and the top tab. We're going to pull the roller out. This roller's got the full width cartridge, meaning the product is going to drop down the full width of the roller. We've got a red one, which is a half width cartridge, so this end will be plugged off. The product will just roll down here. And in the auxiliary tank, it's a white cartridge, where these ones are blocked off, but this one is opened up to roll into the canola roller. This is our standard 6-flute black roller. We offer the black roller. We offer a blue roller. We have a pink roller. We have an orange roller for inoculant. So we have a lot of different varieties of rollers. And so here's our roller chart that shows you all the different options you can get. Nice splice, hey? So now we're going to put the roller back in. One thing you'll have to do is you'll probably have to get your finger in there to turn it, because this is going to line up on the electric motor shaft inside. To change the roller out, to put a different roller in, you need to pull this bridge out. Just pull the tap off, the roller comes out. Put the roller back in. Cap. The bridge is very important so that the product doesn't get inside here and spread the cartridge open. So now we'll put the roller back in. It's gonna jam there because I don't have it lined up with the shaft, so I'm just gonna wiggle it with my finger, get it all the way in, close the tabs. That's how you change out a roller. Next thing I need to do is put it back in the top run, of course. So nice and gentle. Close that off, pull out my lever, put it back into this position, open up that top run, and then we want to make sure that the tab pops out again. There, I heard it click out. So that's how we change out a roller. Now, we can also change out the motors. We'll go over here, shine into here. This is our electric motor that runs every one of the rollers. So there's just a couple of screws on the back side here. We pull the screws out, pull the motor out, and then unplug it from here. Next thing we have to do now is we have to, of course, open up this slide gate again so the product can roll back down onto the rollers. You can hear that squeaky noise, and that's the rubber seal between the slide gate and the top of the meter box. Want to line up that hole. Put the pin through. And we can go seating again. So one thing I want you to check when you've got your drill set up, you've got all your fans and your air running through it. So we put your hand in here to try and feel for any air leaks coming from here. If you can get your hand in this close and feel air, it's not an issue. But if you're feeling air from here, then we've got a leak coming in on these bolts that are holding this, or that are mounted the plastic to the metal. If you find that air leak there, then get a hold of the dealership and get a hold of their service department, and we'll get that problem fixed. Okay, we'll move to the back of the machine now. Just of note, those bags that I pulled out for calibration, the scales, the ratchet, they all fit into this container here. It's not sealed off or anything like that, but the door does go on this way. Put the pin through. Notice the pin, you'll never lose the pin because of the way the chain goes down through the hole, so you'll never lose that pin. At the back of the cart here, it's pretty simple. This is where the drill will attach. This is a tow-between air cart, so the drill would be behind the air cart. Your hydraulics are plugged in here, and your electricals are plugged in here. And then if you look here, you can see all the runs coming out from the cart to the drill. So the hoses for each run will come off of here, and then in through here, and then out into your drill. So when the carts are shipped, there's no air packs that are shipped with the air carts. The air packs are shipped with the drill. Around to this side here. Okay, so earlier I was talking about changing your airflow from the top run to the bottom run by moving the lever. This is where that air comes from. So it's coming directly off the fans, and then through each one of these tubes here, and then down to each one of those valves to select the bottom or the top run. And one other thing while we're here is another upgrade for model year 20 is the agitators for each one of the main tanks. So the 1, 2, 3 main tanks. So this is an agitator that just keeps flowing when it's turned on to help prevent product from bridging or building up inside the air cart. If you look through here, this is the electric motor that drives the the leveler inside the aux tank, and it actually works in two directions, where those other agitator motors only work in one direction. So if you have a faulty agitator motor and you're not using a particular cart or tank, you can take that agitator motor off of that tank and put it onto the other tank where it's faulty, but you can't swap the motors with the leveler on the aux tank. So in front of us here right now is the aux tank filler. Before you turn on your rotor to have the product go up through here, you need to open up this door here. So you just loosen off these two clamps, lift this door up, and out of the way, and then just close it down again so that you've got a seal there. And then the product will flow from here up into here. This is where you will dump your canola or inoculant into the auxiliary tank to fill. Let's come over to this side and remove the mud shield. So this is only on here to prevent mud from coming up on the tires and getting into the fan blower for the aux tank. So we'll just lower it down. Now we've got fresh air coming in here in order to run air through and into the aux tank. So the tractor's running. In a CNH tractor, you can move your appropriate lever into a backwards position and run all your hydraulics to this at 100%. You need to make sure you've got full hydraulic flow going to this block in order to run the auxiliary tank. You've got this opened up, you've got the hydraulic flow coming to this block now. So we're going to turn on the fan. And of course the fan's not turning because we don't actually have anything on. And then once the fan is on, you'll then turn the roller on. So this one here turns this roller on. The air is passing through there. Now it's going to feed the canola or the inoculant into this aux tank. Don't go halfway or 3/4. Make sure that this is opened up all the way. Okay, so once this empties out, and from testing that we've done and from actual use of this, you will have one bag emptied out. By the time you get the string off the next bag to pour it in here, that first bag will be emptied. That's the kind of flow that we want, to have everything flow evenly into here. So once you're done with that, you then turn off this roller and then turn off your fan. Put your mud shield back on. Close your lid. You want to have this lever in the exhaust position so that as you're filling it, it'll push air out so that it doesn't all build up inside. And then when you go to run it again, make sure that's closed. Now once you've done filling that up, you've turned everything off on that side. So now don't forget, you have to close this door again. If you don't close this door, then you won't have any air caught in here. You'll have air leaks going back out through here, which will inevitably create misses in the field. So the door is closed. Just want to seal it up again. There we go. So now we're ready to operate and run canola out from the auxiliary tank down into the meters. One thing to note, if perchance these hoses happen to plug up, and they will do in time, sometimes you'll get some product caught up inside the pipes going in there and out, and before it enters out the Venturion side. If you look underneath here, once you've taken these clamps off here, there's a couple of pins on either side. You could take these pins out, and then this whole assembly, the hoses and this front plate will all come off, and then you can empty that product back out from the hoses. Make sure you got a bag or something like that to catch the product so you don't waste the product. Good. Another thing I want to point out on this air cart, here's our bank for our cameras. So we know that this air cart has all 5 cameras are on this air cart. This is a good view of the plenums coming off the air fans. So you can see with these plastic plenums that each run has its own divided airflow and dedicated airflow. So you can see that this fan is supplying air to these, or this plenum here is supplying air to these 2 bottom runs only. and vice versa, the plenum above it is supplying air directly to these two top runs. So that gives us dedicated airflow so that when we're doing sectional control and this motor shuts off, we still got air passing through here so that we don't have a buildup of air and an imbalance across the drill. This keeps the drill balanced. So when our sectional control is working on the drill, essentially what happens is when you get to that populated area, whatever percentage it is that you choose for that area to be populated, this motor just shuts off. So then that meter is no longer turning, so then product is no longer falling down into that run. But again, as I mentioned, airflow is still going through there so we don't have an imbalance. So from here, we're going to walk around to the ladder on the other side of the cart and go up and check out the tank lids up on top. We're going to lower the ladder so that we can get up on top. Really easy, spring loaded. One thing to note, there is a potentiometer on here that tells us inside the tractor and in the monitor that the ladder is down. Walk up. So as you can see, there's 3 tank lids on top. As we noted earlier, we fill the auxiliary tank from down below. When the conveyor is out and filling, you can fill all 3 tanks without moving the hopper on the conveyor. It will swivel in the right position to all 3 tanks. So I'm going to open up the lid on this tank. As you can see inside the tank, you can see the bend level sensors, which are those green sensors in there. There's a ladder walking down into the tank so you can clean stuff out. And you can actually see the agitator bar right above the meter runs there. So there's that gray colored meter run there, and then on top of it, there's the agitator bar. One thing I want to make note of is when you're storing the air cart, there's no need to clamp down the lid. It just puts too much pressure on the seals inside the lid, which, and then in turn leads to premature failure on the seals. However, when you are getting ready to seed, you need to make sure that this lid is closed tight. If for some reason you have some leakage coming from the lid, you can make adjustments with this screw up and down to make it tighter. Once you've run out of adjustments on that screw to make it tighter, then it's time to replace the tank lid seals. Okay. So that's the top end of the air cart. Very, very important to remember to put this ladder up. Again, yes, there is a sensor inside the cab telling us the ladder's down, but just look at the distance between this ladder and that track. If we were to make a left-hand turn, it wouldn't take long for that track to take this ladder out. So again, easy to lift the ladder up. Clean out doors so you can get inside. The conveyor, the angle that it's tilted right now, everything should just clean out there. You can catch it with a pail, whatever you desire. Put it back on. There's a little tab in here that you just push. It releases the energy on that. And let's see to pop it. I don't think I got that on right. There's also a clean out door up on the top of the conveyor hopper. You can use that to clean out that. Other thing I want to point out too is just tracking your belt. As time goes on, that conveyor belt is going to track left to right. So you've got an adjustment screw on this side and the same adjustment screw back in here on the inside. You won't be able to get this probably. So adjust these 2 screws evenly so that the belt tracks properly. On the conveyor hopper, there's a tracking screw there and there to help you keep the conveyor hopper running in line as well. So one other thing is when you're filling using the conveyor, make sure you run the conveyor empty for a while so that you warm up the belt. Unlike an auger, you can run this thing empty all the time. It's fast, it's quiet, and it doesn't harm the product that you're putting into the tank. One thing I want to point out to you with our drills, our P2075 drill or a P2060 drill, so we have these proximity sensors here. So these are on the drill when you're folding or unfolding the drill. They will eventually wear out in time, like all electrical pieces will. So make sure that you have these proximity sensors in your tractor with you so that if one fails out while you're trying to fold out or fold in, you can still continue to do so. Here's the part number on that proximity sensor. So one thing we didn't cover here today was our 4 styles of drills. We have a precision hoe drill, a P2075, which comes in 50-foot width, 60-foot width, and 70-foot width. We have a large frame hoe drill, P2060, that comes in a 60-foot, 70-foot, and 80-foot width. We also have just a traditional hoe drill, a P2070, which comes from variable sizes all the way up to 57 feet, and that is a fold-up drill. Many people refer to it as a 5000 Flexicoil. And we also have a new double shoot disc drill, a P2082. So that is a double shoot disc drill that's got a seed knife and a disc. The seed obviously passes down through the knife, and the seed goes down through the disc. And that's the New Holland P-Series air cart. Thank you.